Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jerry Sansing with another edition of South Texas News and Reviews. It's Tuesday, September 29th, 2015. I'm going to take a little trip over to my employer's place, Del Mar College. I've got some few things I need to show the public with that. Anyway, I'll be right back after a little bit of introduction and some films. See you in a few minutes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's recording. This is a vent in the Buddy Venner's building after they've just spent a fortune to get rid of all the mold and so forth. I don't know if you can really visualize this, but this grating is just absolutely inundated with mold and dust and everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and probably have to sample this one. And I'll be right back with you with some more shots from Del Mar College. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm outside of the Heritage Hall building at Del Mar College. You can see the weeds up here. This is what we're paying $14,000 a month to take care of. This is just beautiful. And I'm going to go ahead and pan around and I'll show you where I am. You can see that this is a main entrance for students, faculty members, and so forth. And it's just wonderful. And then anybody that comes to visit over here. So I don't know why we're still paying for some of this stuff around here. And then I'm going to go out into the courtyard between here and that building over there is the Harvin Center. And that's that's where people come to visit. So I'll let you know and show you some of this other stuff in a second. Okay, this is a little bit further out from the building. I'm sitting in the courtyard over here between the Heritage Hall and the Heldenfels building. It's not Heldenfels, I'll get it right. It's the Harvin Center. This is Student Center, and this is the little area that's out here in the plaza that people come over and have various types of organized meetings and so forth, dedications and so forth. So I just wanted to let you see this. This is beautiful. I'm going to pan around a little bit more over here and show you what's in front of these hedges and stuff that have not been trimmed in forever. And then you can see the grass over there. That's towards the gymnasium. So this is Heritage Hall and the park. And I'll just pan back around real quick, back over to the Harvin Center. And you can see that this place is a mess. Anyway, that's your tax money, ladies and gentlemen. $14,000 per month. Bye. Just another quick note. This is the condition that most of these planters are in around campus. I mean, give me a break, folks. Just at least weed them out. Don't have this weeds growing over here. And they seem to be running rampant around here. Anyway, I'll quit now. See you in a minute on the air. Bye. Couldn't help myself. Another classic shot. That bicycle's almost overgrown with grass out here. And you can go ahead and I'll pan around. You can see how tall it is among these trees and so forth. And like I say, I don't know what it's going to take, taxpayers, except start jumping up and down, raising Cain. Be back in a minute. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. I was just passing by the early childhood building, and there's a cart sitting out here with a bunch of ceiling tiles, and I sure hope these things weren't left in this manner in that building with all those kids all that long. Anyway, just amazing what you can find over here on my employer's facility. This is East Campus, Del Mar College. Be back in a minute. Alright folks, this is the daycare center at Del Mar College, early childhood. You can see the grass up. I've had some people say that they've got children over here and they're out playing in this tall grass and they're scratching their legs and so forth and so on. So we'll just see what we can do about this. Maybe this film will jar somebody loose. Bye. So I've been traveling around campus. I didn't know it was this bad, but here's grass everywhere. Just like this from this corner where the lighthouse is all the way over to the early childhood center, all the way down Baldwin. It's up at least over, some of it's as high as your knees. And we just need to take care of this, folks. Start writing and calling your Regents members and so forth. I'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is still Tuesday, September 29th, 2015. The camera's rolling, lights are on. I'm going to go take my seat after I sound like I'm in a cave, and I'll go ahead and get started with this. Now, I did open the show with some scenes at Del Mar College, and I have been employed by Del Mar College since September of 1989. It may have been the end of August, actually. So I've been there a while, and I know the system. And I'm very discouraged here lately with what's going on with that fine institution and the students that we have serviced over the years. And I'm just going to start by saying that yes, I started at Del Mar College when Del Mar College was probably in the top 5 or 10 community colleges in the country. Certainly the programs that we had were way up there. For instance, the music department was very highly thought of and still is. But the nursing program and some others were very, very highly rated. And I'm very disappointed with what's happened with a lot of those different programs. So let me just start with the first clip that I showed you. Del Mar College has just gone through an extensive rebuild of the air conditioning system in the Buddy Venters building. Now that building I don't think is over, it can't be over 20 years old. Okay? Now I had some friends that were on the 3rd floor. It's a 3-story building. And they came to me and said, hey, you know, you've got an extensive background in the effects of molds, toxins produced by molds, antibiotic drugs and so forth, which are microbial products, bacterial toxins, and so forth and so on. And I said, yes, I worked my butt off for 4 years in graduate school. I think I set a record at Auburn University for obtaining 2 majors, microbiology and biochemistry. Biochemistry was my primary love. Microbiology is wonderful. And I left that institution with a master's degree with both majors and a PhD in both majors. And I left after taking my defensive dissertation 2 weeks shy of 4 years. Now folks, I didn't sleep. You know, I ate, I breathed, I lived in the lab and so forth and so on, put a big strain on my family and so forth, but I wanted out. And then I got a very fine postdoctoral position at Peoria, Illinois at the USDA labs up there, the Northern Regional Research Labs, which is the mecca, and was then and still is way up there in you know, the mecca of antibiotic research and microbial toxins. Now I have studied extensively the wild world of bacteria and the wild world of fungi, which are commonly known as molds and so forth. But I really resent the fact that there are some people at Del Mar College who anybody that has bona fide credentials, they blow them off. You know, they're a threat to the whole system. And I really just don't understand that at all at Del Mar College. So what my friends did that were in the Venters building, they were on the 3rd floor, and they said, hey, you know, we've got some real allergy problems up here. We're allergic to something. And then I went up there, and there's this debris blowing out of the AC vents up there, folks, on the desk, this big wads of gray to black material. And I said, well, you've got a big problem up here. These air conditioning systems, the ductwork is contaminated with mold and dirt and dust, and it's just not right. And I said, this is your problem with your allergies. Now I went ahead and tested that stuff. I'm quite capable of doing that. Like I say, pardon me. I've taken all of the courses in microbiology where I can identify bacteria, I can identify fungi, I can identify protozoans and algae and so forth and so on. And that's all been at the graduate level, not just undergraduate with a bachelor's degree in chemistry as a major and a second major in biology. I mean, I think I'm fairly well prepared to speak on behalf of what is correct and microbiologically competent to know what I'm doing. Okay? And I work with some of the very best of the people in those areas, folks. I mean, you know, I've got publications with them, and I've been including the toxicology involved in microbial products like fungal toxins, bacterial toxins, and, you know, antibacterial drugs and the resistance to those with certain pathogenic organisms. And I have been associated with medical schools and in industry with hiring physicians and so forth to run clinical trials on various types of treatments and drugs. So when I retired from all of that and started at Del Mar, You know, I did have a research grant with Herc Celanese to see if we could help those people out a little bit. And all that, I guess, has gone for naught because my employer thinks I'm an idiot. I mean, I'm just being honest with you, okay? Now, when I did the work over there in the Buddy Venters building, I informed people over there, and they said, well, you don't have a license to do mold in the state of Texas. And I said, no, I don't. But I have tested over 500 structures before the state decided that they were going to rape a bunch of money out of people by having people pay for license fees and so forth, and go to school for, you know, a week out at Orlando, Florida, and then they're instant mold experts. They're instant toxicologists. You know, they're instant air quality people, experts with that. And it was just a real scam and a sham. Okay, now, so when I called the state about the licenses when they instituted those, I was told that I could send in my resume and my transcripts, and they would see and determine, now this is the state, they would determine whether my PhD in microbiology and the PhD in biochemistry, and that's microbial biochemistry predominantly as well as human, then they would analyze that and review it and see if that was the equivalent to a bachelor's degree in biology. Now that floored me, folks. I just told the man to go straight to hell. He didn't know what he was talking about, and I wasn't going to have anything to do with idiots that don't know any better than a PhD in micro and biochem supersedes a bachelor's degree in biology. I mean, it's ludicrous. Okay? All right, so here's where we are. Now I finally got people's attention with a bunch of sick fellow peer group people over there, faculty and staff and so forth, and they went to work on the Venters building. Now they hired a company out of, let's see, where is that? Oh Lord, it should be here on the front. It doesn't say where this company's from. It says the Limited Indoor Air Quality. Now I printed out the report that was just out on the Venters building. And let's see, San Antonio, Texas. Okay, that's where this indoor air quality company has done it, and his name is Ronald M. Bishop. He's got a master's in public health, and he's a certified industrial hygienist. Okay, now, you know, according to all these people that are certified industrial hygienists, a PhD in microbiology with a second backup with biochemistry, I guess we're, you know, we don't know what we're talking about. I mean, we developed all these techniques for isolating, identifying the microorganisms, but you know, we're second-class citizens with a PhD. That I don't think that PhD is going to hold up to a master's degree in public health. Okay, now I'm not going to comment any further than that. Okay, so I've got an 80-some-odd page document here, which is the report from all those studies that they did over there in the Venters building. Now, when I did the studies, I told them exactly what they had in the contaminated ducts. I told them it was one of the most highly allergenic organisms that's known to man and beast. When you get ductwork that is inferior and things are not working in air conditioning systems, okay, then what you have is you have a lot of dirt, you have a lot of moisture, and you get a lot of fungal growth, because all you have to do is throw a carbon source, nutritional source at a fungus, and they're going to grow and propagate. And the only thing that a fungus has got on its mind, if it has a brain, is to perpetuate the species. So the fungus is going to produce spores to blow everywhere so that it can be everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Okay? I mean, that's the bottom line, folks. And they do a real good job of it. Mother Nature's provided them with a very, very fine system to do that. But, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. I've only been at it since 1968 when I started graduate school. And I started with a degree in chemistry and a second degree in biology. But, you know, I missed it somewhere. Maybe I ought to go back to all of my schools and demand my money back for all that time and effort I spent obtaining those majors and degrees. You know, I don't know what to say to you, folks. All right, so we've got this 80-some-odd page document, which is the Limited Indoor Air Quality assessment of the Venters Building, Del Mar College, Corpus Christi, Texas. Now this was done for Mr. Bill T. Wilson II, who's an FAIA, he's an architect, and he's Vice President and Principal of WKMC Architects. Okay. Now here's another guy that I've had experience with in the past, and I'll bring this up. I had a person who built the, what was that, the Gregory Portland High School over there. They had some mold problems. The contractor, who I won't mention, one of the biggest and best around this neighborhood for many years, asked me to go over there and figure out what was going on, and I did. And then I had this Mr. Bill T. Wilson call me, raising Cane, said I didn't know anything about air quality, molds, or anything else. Just raising hell with me on the telephone. Okay, so I informed him that I did have the PhD, master's degree, and so forth in both biochem and micro, and my expertise with my dissertation and my master's thesis, and a lot of publications after that with some of the finest toxicologists in the country and in the world, actually. But yes, I did know about mold, okay, and I do know what makes it grow. So after he figured that out, he said, well, you don't know anything about air conditioning, because I told him it was the air conditioning system, the mechanical part of that high school over there that was at fault. And he was the coordinating architect there. Okay? So then he got on me about not knowing anything about air conditioning. And I said, well, pal, let me inform you, I do just happen to own half of a commercial air conditioning company in Corpus Christi, Texas, S&S Mechanical at the time. And then I finally told him where he could go straight to hell, and I hung up on him. I don't need to listen to people like that who are instant experts on everything. And now here he is, the coordinating architect over there at Del Mar College. And folks, I'm not impressed. Now I don't mean to disparage his good name, and I'm not going to. But give me a break, Mr. Wilson and Dr. Escamilla and Dr. Lee Sloan and the rest of you people over there that can't spell microbiology, and give me a break. I'm trying to keep you out of the courtroom and have you do the right thing for your employees over there and clean that damn building up. Now today, I was informed that there was that duct on the second floor. It's right side outside of room 255, if you fine folks would like to go to the Venters Business Building over there and see, after $250,000+ on an air conditioning overhaul, go over there and look at all that garbage that's sitting right there in the hallway in that foyer. And then go over there and look at that planter that some moron, and the first mold assessment of that building said all the mold was coming out of the flower bed over there, the indoor flower bed. And if you look at that, they took all the dirt out, but they never did decontaminate the sides of the brick and so forth. So they're sitting there, just blowing dust around and mold spores. But do you think anybody would listen to me? Don't think so. All right. So just wanted to let you know what that first picture was about. Now I am convinced, and I'm just going to blurt this out, that Del Mar College and the Board of Regents over there and the administration don't give a tinker's damn about the health and welfare of their employees. So since I just got this 100 and some odd pages here, PowerPoint and all the rest of this stuff, this fluff for this limited indoor air quality assessment, then I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that, and we'll see what I can glean out of this. I did ask some questions when this was presented this past Friday. And let's see, I don't remember what the date was on that one. I guess it was probably 25th or so, in the Buddy Venters building. And it was a fluff. Now one thing that floored me was the man, this Ronald M. Bishop, MPH, CIH, made some assumptions. Now I've grown microorganisms up, every type of microorganism that you can imagine in your lifetime, the different types, since 1966. Okay. Now I do know how to grow the critters up, and he stood there in front of the God country and everybody and said that if you take samples, swab samples off of the ducts and the floor and the walls and the air and so forth, and you culture those out, then some of those microorganisms are going to take all the food sources out of those culture plates, and you won't get a good representation of what grows. So that's the reason they didn't do it. Now folks, I'm here to tell you, after 40 some odd years in the microbiological business as a microbial biochemist, growing critters that entire time, then that's one of the biggest loads of hogwash I've heard in my life. Okay, that has defied everything that I ever learned, and through all of my postdoc time, my time with University of the Illinois University Medical School, the time I spent at UT Austin working on some grants, postdoctoral grants, and many years in industry and being an industrial consultant, that defies everything I ever knew about microbiology. But since I'm not an MPH and a CIH, that means a Master's in Public Health and a certified industrial hygienist, then I guess I don't know diddly about what I've been doing over the past 40 years, since 1966. So I don't know, this is going to be a Lulu of a report. And then we had a Del Mar College person stand there and say our goal is to have the indoor air in this Venner's building as clean as the outside air. Now folks, that choked me up, you know. I mean, I almost bent over. I didn't know whether to cry, I didn't know whether to laugh, I didn't know whether to throw up or whatever. But when somebody says that you spend all that money and time trying to condition the air inside of a building to be much cleaner and much healthier than the outdoor air, then that just set me back about 100 years. It really did. So that's the kind of garbage that I had to put up with on Friday. And I'm still trying to sort through some of those wild accusations. And I said, well, you know, why didn't you, when you were cutting all those contaminated ducts out, why did you just stick them, the air conditioning company that did that, contracted it, why did you put them on a wagon, take them down, exposing everybody to the stuff that was in there, including fiberglass fibers, okay, and haul them out in the open and not contain them, wrap them up in plastic, and take them to the dumpster. And then you throw them in there, and that stuff's blowing all far and wide all over the neighborhood over there and through the parking lot. I mean, it's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. And someone indicated that there is a statement in here, I haven't read it yet, that maybe they should have taped the ends of those things up and not blown all that stuff in the carpet and everything else over there. Okay? And let me tell you another hazard, folks. We've got kids over there with the collegiate high school in that building, as well as employees, and none of those people deserve the abomination and the lack of care that was demonstrated to go in there and finally get that building done. And I'm not so sure now that I saw that vent and I looked at, I microscopically examined some tape samples today, and that one duct on the second floor, folks, is abominable. I mean, it's abomination. It's just totally and completely out of line. So I'll go ahead and drop that much with Del Mar College. Then I went across the grounds over there for you, you taxpayers out there. I'm also the president of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association. I don't like to have my tax money stolen from me. And you know, if you look at the state of Texas and Nueces County and Del Mar College and the city and so forth and so on around here, they're doing a very fine job of taking your money with no return. Okay? So we're paying just under $14,000 per month for the groundskeepers over there, the company that does the grounds, the mowing and so forth. So I hope you enjoyed some of those things that you saw with that grass over there, particularly at the Early Childhood Development Center. I know some people that have children over there and so forth, and they say the kids are out there scratching their legs because the grass over there is above 12 inches. And you know, I think that maybe before this airs, I may just go ahead and alert the code enforcement. They've come over here in my private fence and hassled me before, and you know, I didn't hear much of that after I put that debacle on the air. And that was a very sad time in my life, with a very sick wife having to go through all that garbage that the grass stopper around here puts out. So I think it's time that they go over there and jump down Del Mar's throat. But if you'll pay attention, taxpayers, in this area, if it's involved with politics and big business, a bunch of people making money at taxpayers' expense around here, like the real estate cartel down at City Hall, then you're not going to get any justice. You're not going to get a chug hole filled unless somebody's making a lot of money doing that. You're not going to get your water cleaned up. And you know what I ought to do is build a city now. I do know a little bit about water and the microorganisms and so forth and how to treat water for human consumption. That's in my background also. Okay, that's basic microbiology and biochemistry. But I think I'll just go ahead and tally up all the amount of bottled water I've had to buy here lately and send the city the bill. Why can't they clean their act up? Don't you know in the summertime, if you put water restrictions on, what you're going to do is you're going to not have the flow in there to take care of sweeping that whole system. And you know, I mean, where do these people come from down there at the city water? You know, I mean, that's kindergarten water processing, folks. And it just floors me. Okay, all right. So, I went over to early childhood. You saw the grass that high. You saw the general landscape over there. All of that stuff, according to the Corpus Christi code enforcement, is completely in non-compliance. And I think Del Mar ought to be hauled down there, and everybody that works for Del Mar files a fine of $2,500 that they tried to fine me one time. And then they said, oh, well, you got a wife, so that's another $2,500. We want $5,000 out of you for going into your backyard, and you had a few blades of grass over 12 inches tall. Okay, I didn't pay that, but it sure put a strain on my then extremely ill wife at the time, and that didn't do her any good when she went to meet her maker. Okay, now, so we've got moldy ceiling tiles also. When I went over to take a look at the early childhood yard over there, the play yard, then there was a cart sitting outside that had a whole bunch of ceiling tiles. They're about 24 inches by 24 or 30 by 30, whatever those are. And one of them sitting on top had enough mold growing on it, and it had been so wet that it sagged in the middle. It looked like a bowl with square corners, and that came out of the early childhood. And I said, do you mean to tell me that people over there will allow that to get that bad before they will go ahead and yank that out? Okay? And I guess that's what happens over there. So I don't know. I think somebody at Del Mar College, the safety office over there, which is a good bunch of people, and I think if they were made aware of this. Now we do have a custodial service over there, GCS Custodial Services, based out of Ohio. And those workers, when they see things like that, they're supposed to, in good faith, I would believe, pay them something like $82,000 per month for custodial services at Del Mar College. $82,000 per month, folks. That's bumping $1 million a year out of a $70-some-odd million budget, and you taxpayers are paying that. Okay. Now this is contracted out, and what happened? We had the director of purchasing who instituted that contract with GCA. Then all of a sudden now he's running around, and what I am told, I haven't seen the thing, but people got the model number off of it. He's out selling that company statewide and probably even out of the state. Okay, driving about a $750,000 motor home with a $50,000, $60,000 BMW convertible in tow. Now, and then as soon as the GCA contract was signed at Del Mar College, he retired, and now he's on the road pushing them all over the state. That's your tax money, folks, and I can tell you. And then another thing I have given up, trying to be safe in my laboratory and keep some of those workers, bless their hearts. See, GCA hires people on a part-time basis and pays them minimum wage. Okay? Unlike when we had the full custodians over there that were citizens in this community, and they were paid a decent wage, they had benefits and so forth, and a retirement plan. So when this person who was the consultant with GCA Services sold that bill of goods to Del Mar College when he was a employee, okay, an employee, then something smells real bad to me, folks, okay, and I'm going to get to the bottom of that. But the whole grounds at Del Mar College are in horrible shape. Nobody will put any water on the plants. When they die, they just let them wilt there. I've shown you pictures before. They finally did cut some of the tree limbs out of the walkways over there, the sidewalks, before somebody put their eye out. And I think it was me showing that on the show is what pulled that one off. Okay. So I don't know. It's you know, all I can say is it's my personal opinion that there's not a soul over there on the Board of Regents at Del Mar College. I'll take that back. There is one gentleman that does care about employees. The rest of them really don't give a tinker's damn about employees, and I know for sure that that administration does not, from the president down. Okay. And then I've had my department chair and my dean lie about me and cause some trouble, and I'll discuss that at the end of this if I have any time left over. Okay, so y'all just keep, you know, you just keep poking that open wound. Now another thing is the city. Okay, there is an article out now that the city wants to hire a company for about $350,000 to $400,000. Okay, and it says city may take snapshot of streets. 372,000 project would give info on road network. Now, if you can't drive through the streets and you don't have city employees that can drive through the streets and tell that we've got a real bad problem with the condition of those, with chug holes bigger than the Grand Canyon and so forth, then do we really need to get $372,000 more dollars to some consultant to drive around and take pictures of every mile of street that we've got? See, these people are going to do it in several months. And then in this article in the Caller Times today, the 29th, it says that you know, it takes years for the city employees to drive that and assess what's going on. Okay, so here we've got several months or a year versus 3 or 4 years. Something doesn't add up there, folks. Okay, this is a typical city of Corpus Christi real estate cartel, city council. Boondoggle to try to bleed you out of more money. That's the bottom line. And then on the other show that I do, which is the Taxpayers Association, predominantly what's going on in Corpus Christi, I think it on cable right now. If you're watching on 10, it precedes this by 30 minutes on Monday, and then it's different times on Saturday and then Thursday. But I address that. Now, Gulfway Shopping Center's been non-compliant with Americans with Disabilities Act for a large number of years, probably 20 or so, and they keep saying, they meaning this new city attorney down there, Mr. Risley, or whatever it was, the one that replaced Carlos Valdez, who I'm going to talk about in a second. Okay, one of my favorite sports. But he said that they have a document that states that they have been grandfathered in and not having to fix those sidewalks up along Airline over there at SPID along Gulfway Shopping Center. Okay. Now, the Department of Justice has been alerted to that. They're concerned, apparently, because they're going to take Mr. Jack Gordy, who's filed those violations and kept up the good work to do that. Then they're going to go into a mediation with the city and Mr. Gordy and find out what in the world's going on. And then I do have, I'll talk about this on the Taxpayer Show, what's happening in Corpus Christi about people now that have realized that even when they try to comply with ADA, then whoever's doing the work, they're not doing a very good job of it, and a lot of this work that you're paying for to become ADA compliant out there, taxpayers, is not to the specifications by the ADA portion of the Department of Justice. Okay? And that's U.S. What can I tell you? Okay, so I'll keep you updated on that one. I'm going to get me a little sip of I've got cranberry juice. This isn't anything stronger than that. Okay, that's what I do to keep my strength up, as they say. Now, I introduced the fact we had a former city attorney who was the former district attorney, and I think he has been in this community a long time. But in the newspaper during the Hispanic Heritage Month, which I'm all for, I mean, I think we ought to take some of our leaders, not only what background they are, ethnicity or whatever, but they do have this month from September 15th to October 15th as the Hispanic Heritage Month. And every day in the Caller Times they pick a person of Hispanic heritage and they put about a quarter of a page. This one just came out the other day. Okay, I'm going to talk about this one. All right. And it looks like that. And they've got some really fine people in there. But what astounded me was on Saturday, September 26th, here's an old friend of mine, that's tongue-in-cheek, folks, okay, by the name of Carlos Valdez. Like I say, he was the former, he was a city attorney from, he was the first one. Let me just read this. Lawyer, politician, author, and lecturer. First Hispanic elected Nueces County Attorney, 1984. First Hispanic elected District Attorney for the 105th Judicial District in 1992. Okay, longest serving District Attorney in Nueces County history from 1993 until 2010. First Hispanic appointed City Attorney for the City of Corpus Christi, 2010. Only person to serve as top judicial officer for all three local governments, City of Corpus Christi, Nueces County, and the state of Texas. Author of the book Justice for Selena, The State versus Yolanda Salazar, published in 2005. Now, one of his claims to fame is this gal that shot Selena, the entertainer, Yolanda Salazar, okay, smoking gun. I mean, that must have been a terrible, terrible prosecution to do when the woman admitted that she'd done it and they found her with a smoking gun. I mean, yeah, anyway, all right. And then it said handle several major and highly publicized cases while in public office. Major cases included Nueces County et al. Versus Texas Department of Corrections, the state versus Frank Flores Cuellar, the state versus Yolanda Salazar, the state versus Mauricio Sells, Friends of the Coliseum versus City of Corpus Christi. He has lectured extensively throughout the United States and Mexico. Now, I don't know what he's lecturing on, but I'd be interested to pursue that. Now, what really burned me up about this, folks, is he was the one that filed a lawsuit against the Friends of the Coliseum because there were 5 of us. I am one of those 5. Went over to Judge Klager and said, look, we'd like to have a stay of execution for the Coliseum. So we're going to put up this bond. We're going to sign it. It should have been about $500. That was the first one we had out of Austin. It should have not have been over $5,000, but Judge Klager went ahead with a $30,000 bond. And then we halted the demolition of the Coliseum in hopes that the Historical Society would be able to come in and say, no, it's a historical significance, which it was, okay, and save the building. And that would have been a magnificent free-standing roof that could have been repaired for not anywhere near what it's going to cost to put shade down there. And so what we did was we halted that demolition for about 30 days. The city had torn it up so bad that they could not salvage it, and the Historical Society said, well, we can't do anything. So then the 13th Court of Appeals came back and said, you can go ahead and tear it down. Okay. Now, in order to, and he said this in court, folks. I sat there and listened to this. Now here's an attorney who's the Corpus Christi city attorney, stood there and told a courtroom full of people and the judge, okay, that he's going to prosecute this because he does not want to have anybody, any citizens come in and attempt to sue the city for anything. Okay? Now who pays the salary? Every time I have to pay property taxes and everything to the city and exorbitant license fees and so forth and so on and all the rest of this rigmarole, then I think I paid his salary. Okay? And so did you. And then he turned around after that and said that there is no citizen in the city of Corpus Christi, taxpayer or non-taxpayer, resident, who has any standing in any contract that the city has and writes and signs with any vendor, meaning the demolition company. So does that make you feel good that the real estate cartel down there with these attorneys like Carlos Valdez can just go ahead and usurp your First Amendment rights and your rights as a taxpayer, and they're making pretty damn good high money down there at your expense, and then they don't want you, they want to make sure that you don't have the nerve, the unmitigated gall to sue the city for anything. Okay? Even though that's your right to do so. So I am very, very disappointed with the Caller-Times for running this. I am not the least bit worried about me and my relationship with anybody of any ethnicity in this world. Okay? And so why someone would write this for the Hispanic Heritage Month and even mention Corpus Christi, the Friends of the Coliseum versus Corpus Christi, as an accolade for one Carlos Valdez is just beyond my wildest comprehension. Okay? It actually, I'm just going to say it, it nauseates me that somebody would even say that. And here I've got it in black and white and in color, right here. Okay? So why don't you get a hold of some people and tell them that this is probably, that doesn't really do much for the race relations in this city. And I do know, as a friend of the Coliseum, there were 5 of us that signed the bond. There were almost 200 people, maybe a little bit over 200 people, that signed the petition to have that halted. And many, many, many of those were of different ethnic persuasions. Okay, many Hispanics. And the 5 of us consisted of 3 Caucasian males, okay, 1 Asian American, okay, and 1 Iranian, and that was the mix. Okay, so Mr. Valdez, is there any more than that, that was involved? So I just thought I'd mention that. And by the way, they've been after it. Mr. Risley, or whatever his name was, has still been threatening to carry that on. I guess he doesn't want any of us free American citizen taxpayers out here with the unmitigated gall to question anything that the city fathers do down there and the city administration. So he wanted to maintain the banner. He went back to the 13th Court of Appeals when they said that that lawsuit wasn't worth the paper it was written on. That put a big dent in Mr. Valdez's day. They pursued that, went back for a second opinion, and the 13th Court of Appeals has said, no, that's not a valid lawsuit. And they were going to appeal it to the state Supreme Court, and I can't find any evidence that they made the deadline to do that. So, and have you heard anything about any repercussions or anybody losing a job or an apology to the 5 people who signed that bond trying to keep that building from being torn down? And now the city is going to spend $5 million to go build shade and bathroom facilities down there on what they call, I think, the Bayfront Park now, or Bayshore Park. And then I've got a picture over here staring at me with Mr. Trey McCampbell after they took the election on Destination Bayfront, and the full page, or half the page on the top of the fold of the Caller-Times had he and 2 buddies watching those results from the election on the $44 million bond that they wanted to float for Destination Bayfront after they tore the Coliseum down. Okay. Well, let's see what else we've got. So that's Mr. Carlos Valdez. Now another thing that happened at Del Mar College is I had my department chair and my dean blatantly lie about me, and I've they wrote a disciplinary action letter they wanted to put into my personnel file. I went ahead and appealed that. We had an appeal based on me being able to get information to prove that they were wrong and were lying about me. That never came to fruition, even through Public Information Act request. So I went ahead and pursued that. I was railroaded into an early appeals hearing with that without any of the information that I wanted and needed to defend myself. Thank you, Dr. Escamilla. And so then when I found out that the college had filed for a opinion from the Attorney General's office as to whether that was public information or not, and the Attorney General's office essentially said give it to him. They withheld that information from me, forced me into that hearing without the information I needed to defend myself. And then when they found out that there may be some problems with that, they spent a whole bunch of money, and it's still ongoing, suing the Attorney General's office because they don't want to give that information to me. Okay? Now, in that hearing, there were two violations, one of the Open Meetings Act in Texas and the other was the Public Information Act. I filed charges, not charges, I filed, with Mr. Mark Skirka, our now district attorney, and that was over 60 days ago. I haven't heard a word from him, and I can't believe that you have elected officials that won't take the law and protect citizens against violations of those two acts. Okay? So, Mr. Skirka, I hope somebody will direct you into this show. It is going to play on YouTube, so you can get it anytime, starting probably in the next day or two. And I just want you to look it up, because the next time you come asking me to support you, which I did in your bid in your election process for the district attorney, don't even bother to open your mouth, pal. Okay? I think that, and some other things I've heard from attorneys about certain information being kept from defense attorneys, then, I'm going to get to the bottom of that too. And that's not a threat, Mr. Skirka. That's a statement of fact. I'm sick and tired of you. If you don't have the backbone and you don't have the personal integrity to go and do what's right for the citizens, and you're over there playing politics with the people at Del Mar College, then, hey, you're on your own, pal. Don't come to me anymore. It ain't going to happen, Mr. Skirka. So I'm sick and tired of listening to that garbage. Okay. All right, now let's see what else we've got. We've got violations of Open Meetings Act by Del Mar College. That happened. And the Public Information Act violations. And like I say, I filed that on August the 14th, 15 with Mr. Skirka. I went down there. I've got a date stamp receipt from my letters where I asked him to please investigate those. Haven't heard a word from him since. And here it is, September the 29th. So that's been 2.5 months. So thank you, Mr. Skirka. I sure appreciate you standing up, me paying your salary as a taxpayer. You have a certain responsibility, fiduciary responsibility, to take care of the citizens of this community, taxpayers. And as far as I can tell, you've wimped out. It's derelict to duty, and I don't mind telling you that. So, you can stand in line, go ahead and sue me too. I just really don't give a tinker's damn at this stage of the game. But you politicians will not stand up for the people that pay your salary. Okay? I'll just leave it at that. Now, another thing that happened was I have uncovered the fact that in June and July of 2015, Del Mar College has paid a great amount of money to a law firm here in town. It's Dunn, Weathered, somebody else, and Rivera. Mr. Augustin Rivera is our Board of Regents, Del Mar College Board of Regents attorney, and quote the college, I guess. Okay. Then we've got another one that's, I won't comment on her, Cynthia Cano. She's a real piece of work. Okay. But Mr. Rivera had sent in some bills. I've got them here somewhere. These are legal fees, folks. And why Del Mar has this high amount of money is beyond me. Okay? But I asked for, under Public Information Act request on September the 18th of this year, I asked for certain check numbers. I want to know what the fees were. I want to see what the billing records look like, hourly billing records and so forth, justification for a check to Graves, Daughtry, Heron. Excuse me, this is the wrong one. This is the Graves. Yeah, this is Graves, Daughtry. Where did I have the one with Mr. Rivera? That must have been on the top here. Okay. All right. Well, I'll go with Graves, Daughtry, Heron, and Moody out of Austin. Okay. Now they have the following bills. They had a check cut to them on the June the 25th, 2015 for $4,935 in legal fees. I want to know the background. I want to see what they did on an itemized billing for that. So I've asked for that one. Then on July the 14th of this year, $47,145.66. Okay? I want to know what those billings are for. Then again on July the 23rd of this year, it was $7,491.71. And then on the 28th, there was another $4,120 check that was cut to them. So we're looking in excess of $60,000 for 2 months. Okay. Now, here's the one for Mr. Rivera. And I asked for the same thing. This is date stamped in as a request on September the 8th, actually. Their date stamp on the 18th was wrong. They went back and corrected that. It was actually on the 8th. They had not changed it properly. Okay. But this is our local attorney, Dunn, Weathered, Coffey, and Rivera. So on June the 25th, Del Mar College wrote them a check for $7,210. Okay. And then there was another one over here on Dunn, Weathered, Coffey, and Rivera for $8,277.50. And I want to see, because it's by law they have to state and write down how much money they charge for each phone call, and that's billed out to the last minute over there. And I don't mean to be jarring these beautiful roses around. Okay. All right. So I've asked for those. Now that information has apparently been sanctioned. Now they did say, and here's what Del Mar College says about this. Okay. It says, normally we must request a ruling from the Texas Attorney General before we can withhold any of the information you requested. However, Section 552.136 allows us to withhold this specific information without requesting a ruling from the Attorney General. And what they cite is some of the responsive information you requested contains a credit card, debit card, charge card, or access device number that is collected, assembled, or maintained by us for a governmental body. This information is confidential under Section 552.136 of the Texas Government Code. Our office is prohibited by law from releasing this information to you, and therefore we have redacted this information from the enclosed information we are providing to you for review. So I'll be real curious to see what they've redacted. Okay? So I'm going to, again, when I go ahead and start raising hell with the Attorney General's office over this stuff, especially when they say that I'm due stuff, and then the college says, no, we're going to go ahead and sue them now that they've made their minds up. And it states in the laws, too, with the Attorney General's office, that a governmental office is not and should not and cannot request a rehearing or a reconsideration of any of their opinions. It didn't say you couldn't sue them, though, I guess. Okay, so we're playing attorney games again over there. So I don't know, folks. And then we've got, yeah, here's Mr. Rivera's billings over here. I've got the originals, date stamped the wrong date. Then I also have a problem in that a CPA and myself have uncovered bad debt write-offs at Del Mar College over 11 years for a grand total of $2.838 million. And one of them just happens to be, okay, owed to Del Mar College. It was $89-something thousand by the Coastal Bend Council of Governments. We finally got notice through the Attorney General's office that the Coastal Bend Council of Government has denied any information involved in that write-off of $89,000 by Del Mar College. So I'm going to go back after Del Mar. I've turned in a Public Information Act request just the other day. I want to know any and all documents, etc., that were used by Del Mar College to produce the attached Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2, indicating that an $89,073.50 debt existed, and any documentation attempted documentation of attempted collections. Then in that same $189,000 write-off one year, they said that that Texas A&M Kingsville owed them $54,267.29. Okay, and I'm asking for that because Texas A&M has waffled on that one, has not provided us with the information, and neither has Del Mar College. So as taxpayers, folks, that's your money. I mean, I don't know what in the world, you know, is going on with that. It just blows my mind. So as far as my calculation goes, I've got about 1.5 minutes ready to go. I'm going to go turn the camera off. I'm going to put the banner back up here, which gives the link to my email and so forth and so on. And you can look this up under Gerald, G-E-R-A-L-D, Sansing, S-A-N-S-I-N-G, on YouTube, and you can get it any time of the day and night, and you don't have to necessarily go to Public Access Channel 10. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and let this thing run out with the banner. Alright, here's the banner back, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, with all the filming I did at Del Mar, I don't know if that's cut off before this or not. Go to YouTube, or you can email me at gsansing@gmail.com. I'm easy to find. And then the next show, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the exorbitant amount of money that we've had as surpluses in the budget at Del Mar College. It's up around $73 million. The CFO, non-accountant, non-CPA at Del Mar College is refuting that. I've got it on good authority with my partner, Mr. Ed Bennett, CPA, master's degree in accounting, BBA, and so forth. So I'm going to let this run on out. I'll give you that. Just keep it up, and we'll see how duped we're being as taxpayers around the city. Good night.